صاحب خبر بیامد و من بی خبر شدم ای دل.
Hi, Chris. Hi, everyone. We will start in 3 minutes. What's the time? Please have a seat. Please find your seat. We will start in 3 minutes. Please find your seat. Please, لطفاً. لطفاً. Yes. Please find your seat. Please. Please find your seat. We will start in 2 minutes. Please help yourself and find your seat. Hello. بفرمایید بفرمایید. Please, please find your seat. We will start in 2 minutes. Don't do business here. Please find your seat. We will start in 2 minutes. سلام. Crystal, are we all set? Zoom. You are not the first. You are not the first. The first one is the first is Personize. After my intro, we will start. Chat with him. Hi everyone. Welcome to another Persian Tech Network in November. I'm Ahmad Reza Masroor, part of Persian Tech Network and Plug and Play. Tonight, we have two startup presentations, one virtual and one in person, and we will follow the program with two fireside chats. with Amir Ali Talasaz, the co-CEO and co-founder of Garden Health. Amir Ali will speak with us virtually over the Zoom. And we have Anahita Moro. She's here in person to speak for us about her background and her story. Without any further ado, let's start with the first startup presentation, which is Hamed Taheri, the CEO and co-founder of Personize.ai. Please welcome Hamed, and Hamed will present over Zoom. Thank you. Hamed John, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. So thank you for the opportunity, Ahmad Reza. I want to make sure that everyone sees my screen. Is it right? Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thanks very much. First of all, it is a pleasure to virtually meet you guys. I didn't have an opportunity to join this time, and I'm going to present about Personize. Our platform, product we are building, is for companies who have thousands of contacts inside their CRM. And we are going to help them to leverage AI agents and language models to understand these customers at a scale. And based on that understanding, do reasoning, make some decisions, take some action, and finally write to them. And the writing can be in form of emails, landing page, or proposal or attachment. But the idea is we want to help companies with a lot of customers and contacts inside their CRM. The question that likely you might have, in case you care about this topic, is what do businesses are doing today to personalize their content for thousands of customers? The reality is, if you go to a website, we have one homepage for thousands, possibly millions of people. And if we have emails, a lot of times there are trillions of emails sent with just hi first name. But the impact is not that much, but that's the only choice we had for decades. And we have platforms like Segment. They started to unify customer data, apply some machine learning and logic, and try to put the customer in the smaller buckets. And for that reason, they started to be deliver more valuable content to them. But in the last 2-3 years, the game is different. We have language models that for the first time in history, we can leverage what we know about the customer and translate it into authentic text that or engagement that would delight customers. And as we can expect, that the impact would be massive. But there is a gap in the market of personalization, which is so new, and it comes with a lot of risks. Let me give you some of the risks that we have to deal with, and actually we are working on them. One is reasoning. Language models are great in writing, but when it comes to reasoning, each company has their own unique way of understanding customer, navigating their information, and writing to them. And that is like a vertical optimization of how to slow down a language models to take steps and reason. This is not a task that's one of the struggle that a lot of people don't touch that, especially when there is no human in the loop and you are going to process thousands with no human in the loop. And the other part is trust. We have customers, we write one email, that's amazing. But when it comes to writing 10,000 emails or 10,000 landing pages, do we trust AI? And how to build that trust, handle errors, deal with quality and accuracy at a scale. So these are the problems that we have. And the platform we built has different elements, but the part that has a visual user interface is our Personize Studio, a no-code environment that people can bring part of their customer data, run AI agents, and start seeing results. Could be an email, could be part of a landing page, and analyze them. And we have different ways to remove errors, handle quality, and start moving on a small data set and start increasing that number to thousands. And once they are happy, they can leverage our native integration. Now they can send in tens of thousands of contacts to the process that they optimize inside Personize Studio, or use our API with few lines of code anywhere they want. And we have started to work on pre-built agents. We started working with different customers in different industries. So we are making it easy as possible for people to leverage advanced reasoning without spending time on building those prompts or building those models. There are a lot of use cases, and some of them are kind of very amazing. Like it's like this is like a potential the first in the market, personalizing the whole landing, basically the whole website, writing reports that is at expert times that they'll be moving from 20 hours to 4 hours, and we're very super excited. But we are a startup, and we just kind of started. There are different, the business model from a high level is what kind of agents the company needs, was from the compute, from the sophistication and the value of that agent multiplied by the number of records they have to process. We are having a PLG motion to bring people, and this is something that we were building over the last few months, to let people to try our platform, grow, upload their data, and enjoy it, and that brings our pro plan. And also we were focusing with bigger opportunities that comes with more sophistication, but at the same time massive databases that we can have a massive impact on their revenue. The market is big, and there is a $19 billion market in the hyper personalization, and there are 4 million of companies using CRM. I was very kind of aware of it's not like the whole market will use this platform or use even any AI personalization. So I did some calculation from bottom up and also top down to size the market. But within that, we are focusing on a company with more than 50,000 contacts inside their CRM, and the minimum of that 10,000. Our go-to-market, we started with CSV upload, download, Google Sheet, sync in and sync out, HubSpot, and we already built our HubSpot native integration, and we are improving that, and that we are going to gradually go after other big databases of that have thousands of customers, and we want to bring value to them. Our team, we have a diverse team. My background is from product side, data science, AI by education. Worked a lot in the last 6-7 years on RevOps and revenue operation, building infrastructure for sales and marketing that was completely outside my comfort zone. And I started to learn a lot of opportunities, and then we started this journey. And we have an amazing team of the 3 AI software engineers, our CTO, and also amazing partners and advisors that are helping us to understand the complexity of how to do and grow inside the market that comes with a lot of interesting, exciting, at the same time, a lot of uncertainties. We work with a lot of, again, maybe it's not that big number. There's 100 of B2B businesses that we were fortunate to work. Some of them pay, some of them not. And we started to optimize some agents that are doing advanced reasoning for different verticals. The goal was to get the highest quality we want. We have some traction. We had a higher traction before, but we iterated, and now we are fully product, and we have the version that is now we can run and make it scalable, and then we can share more about the opportunities we are working now at the moment. We are raising a pre-seed safe for 950,000. We are going to leverage that for improving and deriving our adoption inside HubSpot, and we want to be the best kind of an execution inside that, introducing autonomous AI agents in CRM forever for the first time. And we also want to improve our top of the funnel activities to bring more traffic and improve our funnel, which would be our focus now, because our platform is ready to serve a much bigger audience. I would thank you, everyone. Amazon, I appreciate your time, and I don't know if there's any questions or what I should do next.
Is there any question? Yes, we have.
Do we do? Okay.
Hello, thank you for presentation. Please let me know how much money do you need? What are you looking for?
So actually, the slide is on at the moment. So we are raising pre-seed, 950K safe. We've been bootstrapped. We are a team of 5, and we are looking to use these resources to do a strong execution for HubSpot integration that we have, and that will give us a lot of visibility in that market. And then we want to go after Salesforce. There are some items here that we would love to enhance them by this fundraising, and very likely we would follow up with that in the next year, doing a more formal round of seed round or pre-seed Series A.
Another question?
Thank you for the presentation. My question is regarding your competitors. I mean, there are big guys like Salesforce, and you mentioned they're already offering a product like that. How do you differentiate yourself from them?
Um, Actually, that's an amazing question. So there are different fronts that we have direct competitors, and we have also Salesforce, Agentforce, and HubSpot. And HubSpot founder Dharmesh, they have Agent.ai. Actually, they have a lot of overlaps there. The way we differentiate it is when it comes to autonomy, an autonomous system. Big brands they do more co-piloting types of features on using AI. They do, and they would be very kind of slow in introducing autopilot or autonomous kind of capabilities. And even if they do, we want to be ahead of on the doing lots of vertical optimization, understanding how to do reasoning in construction, in manufacturing, in software. And the thing is, when we start doing those things, we start to add functionalities that is not typical for general personalization project. And we don't think that big players will come for it. And for direct customers, the competitors, based on our knowledge, we have overlaps, and they typically focus on one model fits all. They do a lot on email personalization. We do that, of course, but we are going towards a more bigger batch size, and typically, again, moving more than 10,000, 50,000, that's like we are profiling our target ICP. The reason is no competitor want to go that type of batch processing and database level of running AI agents. They are working on more AI employees and helping people on a more day-to-day tasks. We are doing batch processing. Possibly we want to be one of the leader when the company wants to process millions of customers. We want to be the choice for them. And none of our competitors are planning to go that direction because it comes with different types of product roadmap and building. And I hope that answered the question. There are details. Of course, you have follow-ups, but I hope I did my best to cover different aspects of your question.
Thank you, Hamid John, for your presentation. Please give him a round of applause, Hamid.
And thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the event. I wish I was there, and look forward to seeing you later. Thank you very much.
Hopefully next time. Bye.
Bye.
And the next startup is 10-minute pause. Ali will present his startup. His startup topic is a bit different, but in our life, I think it's very essential. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Ahmed Rezajan.
Recording in progress.
And thank you, PTN, for having me. How's everyone today? Good, good. So my name is Ali. I'm the founder of 10-Min app, 10-Min Pause, where we are helping you to get mindful moments in your own language, 10 minutes at a time. So raise your hands if you're an immigrant. Surprise. All right. Raise your hand if you're immigrant from Iran. All right, great. And raise your hand if you came here to go to school from Iran. All right, some of us. And raise your hand if during this time you experienced dealing with anxiety, depression, and any kind of like mental health, okay? All right, we're not alone, thank God. Okay, cool. So this is actually the story of me. I came to this country about 12 years ago to go study for my grad school at ASU. And over there, I was lucky to meet this amazing man, Dr. William Haywood, who taught me about mindfulness, and he was a clinical psychologist. So I learned it in a science-based way. And then during this time, I was dealing with a lot of like mental health issues. I lost my father in the first year coming to the country, and challenges were just growing. I had to work hard to get my residency, to get the work, to pay off all my credit cards. And I was just in the work until a bad back pain hit. And that was kind of like the start of my journey, my mental health journey. And I think as I'm saying it, some people may resonate with it because I've been hearing it a lot from my Iranian friends who are in tech especially. And then this was just keep going until I read this book, Healing Back Pain, written by Dr. Sarno, which over there they talk about the relationship between our mental health and physical health, so body and mind they're talking. So, and then I actually noticed that I'm not alone. When I look at the studies, I see that immigrants are experiencing 50% higher stress level. This is crazy. And then 60% of them or more, there's lacking support in that. And a lot of that is like due to stigmatized factor on mental health and like lack of resources. Also sometimes discriminations that we see in some of the corporations. And that's why I started 10-Min App. 10-Min App is a place where we can get access to mindfulness content. In your language, we're starting that with Farsi language because that's what I know best. I'm so good at it. And then we are hoping to expand this content to new type of content. We are working with psychologists and professional experts in psychology to create meal size, and I call it meal size because it's not bite size. Meal size content that is provided in 10-minute format for your mental health. And we also have community around it. We have people who are there that are doing challenges with you so that you can get a better mental health through your community and the people that you know best. So you may ask, what are you talking about? So if you want to actually experience like maybe 1 minute of this pause that I'm offering to my audience, if you want to join me, you can maybe close your eyes and start finding a comfortable seat. And I know it's been a long day, so maybe inhale slowly and exhale. Try to notice your thoughts as they are right now. Don't judge them, just observe them, if that makes sense. And see if you can find a rhythm between your breath and your thoughts. See how it feels and how that observation feels. Continue inhaling and exhaling. See if any other thought rises. Where is it coming from? And where does it go? And with the next exhale, you can slowly open your eyes, look around, maybe offer a smile to the person next to you, maybe give them a high five, maybe hug them, your choice, whatever feels comfortable. And that was it. I sent something like this for 10 minutes to my sister about 2 years ago in September of 22, where there was a lot going on in Iran. So she felt so stressed about the future of her kids. So I recorded my first episode of meditation on my iPhone 12 and sent it to her. And she was like, oh my God, I got goosies. You have to do this more. That's when I started like publishing that as a podcast. And organically, I got up to 30K subs across platforms and thousands of listeners, and I started seeing that this is actually working. A lot of folks who are stressed under such a stressful situations, they are seeing results. We started hosting 10-day challenges that is bringing new traffic who never believed that meditation is working. We brought them through these 10 days activities, and they started like using it. And now, starting September this year, we launched on all platforms. We launched our apps on all platforms. We're now about 1,000 organic downloads that we have received, and people are now using our app to get to these mindful moments. And as I said earlier, we are not gonna just stay with the mindfulness content as meditation. We believe there are so many great contents to be created, all science-based. So that's why we are partnering with experts in psychology to create high-quality content. And of course, we don't wanna limit ourselves to one language. Imagine if we can use our AI translation services to translate this to all other possible languages, especially starting with languages that we are all familiar in the Middle East, such as Arabic and Kurdish and all of the languages that I love to do this for. And this is just the beginning, and right now we are actually testing some AI services to translate our work to other languages, which is super exciting. And as I believe, this should be a free access to all underserved community. That means we're not gonna be charging anyone who is in an underserved community. However, if you're in the diaspora community coming soon, your subscription is going to be helping those who are in the need of such content. So you get access to great science-based content within our subscription, and we are bridging your support to the underserved community, those who need such content and they cannot access it. And this is not working. All right. Did it work? All right. And the market size, I don't have to talk about this. Since COVID, the market size has been just skyrocketing for mental health. And it's expected that in 2030, the market for meditation apps are going to be about 7 billion, just meditation by itself. And I'm here because I love to see you all and share this with you. And I love to get your help with marketing. And there's so many great ideas. I already got so many great ideas from my Iranian friends in in this community and similar to that. So give me ideas, help me with the marketing, and join my team if you're actually thinking that you want to be part of this movement that we have started. And of course, who doesn't like money? So far, I raised 0 for building all I built in the last 2 years, and it would be amazing to get some financial support to continue building high quality content and build the tech that we need. And again, I'm Ali. I led product at edtech and health tech companies before ASU Design. If you want to download the app, this is the QR code. I also have a podcast that I talk about mental health topic in English with my guests. So that is it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alijan. Any question? Yes, we have over there.
Nada?
That's okay.
Thank you for an amazing presentation. So my question is, are you basically similar to Headspace but targeting Middle East, or do you have any differentiation with them?
That's a very good question. So we are similar to Headspace as long as you count our content limited to meditation. So we are expanding our content outside of meditation. We are bringing mental health content, and the secret sauce that we have is we're trying to bring in culture and heritage into it. So for some of the practices that I have, I worked with amazing musicians that are well known in the Persian community, and I work with musicians to create a specific music and atmosphere for those practices. So as you can imagine, it's something that is toward like your heritage and your background, and those who have used Calm and Headspace from our Persian community, when they listen to the content that we have created, they felt that connection, they felt that bridge to their culture. So we specialize in cultural mindfulness content. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it.
Only one more question. Is there any question? No, Alijan. Thank you so much. Someone has a...
Oh, hi.
Hi, Alijan. Yeah, I make it quick. So I heard that your target is mostly for the Iranian, maybe inside the Iran. So a technical question for you is, the content you're producing is a kind of like a streaming content, or you're asking the users to download it and listen it up? Because in Iran, they have a slow bandwidth, and then how you just cope with this problem?
Yeah, another great question. So one of the reasons that we started the app is in a lot of like underserved community, they have like internet problems. Also, they don't have great phones, right? And not great phones come with lower capacity. So what we are doing is the content is actually being streamed in the app. We are not downloading it for them on their app. So every time they click, we just stream it with the lowest possible internet needed. So that's how we are making sure that they get access to what they need. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Alijan.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Mr. Saeed Nesbat to come up and start the fireside chat with Amir Ali Talasas.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and I see Amir Ali is already queued up. I have a brief introduction for you, Amir Ali John, if you hang in there.
Sure.
I was about to say that we have two guests tonight, and they are both gurus and authorities in their respective fields, but they're these two diverse fields that we are entertaining tonight. One of them is a renowned leader and authority and innovator in the precision medicine, the field of precision medicine. And the other one is an expert in planning and executing the ultra-massive infrastructure demanded by the uber intelligent systems of the future. I'm looking forward to our chat with both, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from them. But our first guest, Dr. Amir Ali Talasaz, currently serves as the co-founder and co-CEO of Guardant Health. Prior to co-founding Guardant Health, he was the Senior Director of Diagnostics Research at Illumina, and he led efforts to develop next-generation genomic analysis for emerging clinical applications. Dr. Talasaz received his PhD in electrical engineering and MSc in management sciences from Stanford University. Please help me give a warm welcome to Dr. Amir Ali Talasaz.
Thank you all. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much. It's great that we can hear your voice as well as having your picture. You were born in Iran, Amir Ali, and you did part of your university education in Iran, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, ba salam be hameh. It's great to see you all. From a distance, I can't recognize people, but yeah, it's great to still be able to see you. Yes, I was in Iran till 2001. I did my undergrad in Sharif University and then came to continue my education at Stanford.
It is customary that for those people who went to university in Iran, we ask them about their concours rate. What was your concours position?
I was number 33.
Very good, very respectable. Some people objected to this one, but those people who object to it, they don't have to tell us what their ranking was. My first question is just digging into your background. What made you realize that you want to be an engineer in Iran? What made you an engineer? What event or what transpired that?
Frankly, it was not till very late in high school. Like, I don't know how's the high school in Iran right now, but during my years, till the last year of the high school, you had the option of switching between math and biology. And I started the high school in the field of mathematics and going toward the engineering route, but still I always had behind my head that maybe I would switch and take the examination toward getting the, go toward the MD route. But during the last year, after trying to memorize a bunch of biological sciences and books, I figured out maybe I have
better talent in math.
Talent and higher passion for math and engineering. But fast forward now, I don't know how many years after, probably 25, 30 years after now, I ended up working on biological sciences again. So here we go.
Full circle around, you're coming back to medicine. So for us, for some of the people in the audience who may not be familiar with precision medicine, that's the term you use, or other people say personalized medicine. Can you define that? Can you tell us what are the aspects of this new field, which is, I assume, based on genomes and gene sequencing?
Yeah, in general, the overall concept is like there are different kind of treatments that just work on a specific subset of the patient. And the promise of precision medicine is trying to use the medication and the medicine as it's personalized and as it's appropriate for each individual person. Typically, it's contains some kind of biomarker testing to classify patients and categorize patients into different classes, and then using appropriate treatment, appropriate diagnostic, appropriate intervention based on the category that the patient falls into. So specifically in our field and the company we work at Guardant Health, we are focused on the field of oncology, which means cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So in this field, there are some treatment that works for some specific patients who have some specific genomic abnormalities. and other patients may not benefit from those treatments. So we try to match right patients with the right treatment by using the tests that we have developed.
Okay, right now you are at what stage? Do you have tests that can tell conclusively whether oncological conditions or cancer is present in a patient?
Yeah, so Guardant Health is now kind of a small, mid-sized company, about 2,000 people. It's like 12-year-old company now. And we have blood tests, what's called in this field as liquid biopsies, blood tests that we can say what treatment works on cancer patients, what treatment does not work on cancer patients. It became standard of care. About 20% of all cancer patients in the US are using our test right now. We have blood tests that are used to look at the relapse of cancer in the patients who are survivors of their disease. And most recently, we launched a blood test. We recently got FDA approval for it that is for early detection of cancer with initial indication of colorectal cancer for people who don't go through colonoscopy, they don't have access to, or they are not interested to go through it. Our blood test is indicated for them.
I'm sorry, some people over there are having a conversation. Can you take your conversation outside? Because it's distracting to us. Thank you. So along the way that you are right now with these achievements, I'm sure you have a lot of challenges. And in the future, you're going to face a lot more challenges because this is not going to be smooth sailing for the economy that can handle only a certain percentage of people who can afford this kind of a treatment. First, can you go back and tell us what challenges did you have to overcome? You had to overcome to get to this place. What were the big problems that you solved?
I think each chapter of the company has its own kind of interesting challenges. I think throughout the life cycle of companies, one thing that's very important is continuous development, embracing challenges, and having what we call it in our company a greedy mindset, that you embrace challenges, show persistency to really be able to go through those up and downs. Early days, there were a bunch of scientific risks in what we were doing. Like, it looked kind of sci-fi. With a blood test, you can find the tumor signals in blood. Like, how is it possible? Then commercialization risk, building teams, scalability, regulatory reimbursement, and so forth.
What was the biggest challenge? What was the thing that kept you up at night for a few weeks?
Well, I mean, the good thing is I typically have a good night's sleep. I think when I have smaller kids, that was a typical reason I was kind of losing some sleep. But, putting joke aside, I think the reality is in the sector that we are in, diagnostics and clinical services, one of the biggest risks is reimbursement, convincing insurance companies to cover the tests that we are offering. That's one of the biggest risks. And after that, I think interesting challenge of building teams and scaling organization. Each chapter of company is different. When you're just, it was me and two co-founders that we started this company. Then when we reached to 50, 150, 500, about 2,000, each chapter has its own kind of unique challenges that you have to live through it. But as long as you're committed to the values that you have in the company, as long as you're passionate, what you're after, you have the right North Star, and you have a great team around you, then you can go through those up and downs if you have the right mindset.
Well, you have reached a stage that you're very proud of the company, obviously, and about its challenges. I want to go through some of the challenges that you may have in the future. One of them is obviously cost and accessibility. It's going to be very expensive for a patient to be treated with this kind of analysis. Because you got to sequence the genome, you're going to, maybe epigenetics will come in. Also, there's a factor of the insurance coverage. Many insurances will not cover this one. So you may come up with a solution that only a very small and thin segment of a society will enjoy using that. Do you see that as a challenge, and how are you preparing and planning to face it?
There are different kind of players in our sector. There are some companies who are just after self-pay market, and they believe in consumerization of health services, high deductible healthcare plan. Patients would pay out of pocket. Our business plan has always been toward making sure everybody get access to the tests that we develop to the extent that we can. You know, the mission that we had at Guardant was really having equitable access and bringing and doing some impactful work for the society. So that's what drives many of our team members at this company to work very hard. So what does that mean? We needed to go through the harder route, which means convincing payers to pay for our tests. Right now, our flagship product for advanced cancer patients, 300 million people in the United States have access to it, like their insurance, cover our tests. For even our latest product for cancer screening, we went through the route of doing a 25,000 patient study, getting FDA approval for it. And as a result of it, when we went through those kind of steps, now all Medicare beneficiaries today have access to that blood test with $0 out of pocket, or very, very low, dollar out of pocket. So we didn't go through this self-pay methodology that you're talking about. For international markets, though, for a bunch of them, we went through self-pay because we couldn't take the risk of reimbursement at a global level. But in US, we are taking on the hassle of convincing payers to pay for the test.
But the economic fact is, if the treatment is very, very expensive, then either you have to raise the premium or you have to exclude some other people. There is no other magic math that I'm aware of.
So a promise of precision medicine is, for a bunch of patients, you're going to avoid using costly treatment that's not going to even add value to the patient. You're just going to add toxicity. So that's really, in fact, we need to do health economical models and studies to prove to payers that if you cover this specific test, the overall healthcare costs would go down. It would not go up. So that's part of the process. We need to convince people that it would be a net save by adding this test in their menu.
Another issue that you may have to face is the ethical concerns regarding privacy and data security. The extensive use of personal genetics and health data raises concerns about the privacy, data security, and the potential for misuse, discrimination based on genetic information. How do you plan to counter this ethical concern?
Yeah, the market that we are in is heavily regulated, in terms of PHIs, in terms of, privacy matters, of disclosing patient information, even using patient information or health information or genomic information for pure research-based activities. It's heavily actually regulated, and we have put a bunch of SOPs, firewalls, and terms and conditions in our agreements when we are rendering a specific service to make sure we are following those regulations. This is a very serious matter, and I think skilled companies in our sector, all of them need to follow those regulations. There are ways to handle it to really make sure you're handling patient data with high level of security and privacy, but it needs attention. But it's doable. It's doable. Right now, probably we've done a testing on about, I don't know the latest, probably 1 million people by now. And like just the amount of firewalls and security systems that we have on the platforms that we just store patient genomic data in is top notch, which it should be. If there are any data breaches, like it's going to have credibility issue, it's even generates a bunch of federal fines. We cannot take those matters easily.
If you depend on federal regulations, I think we are in the environment that the regulation is actually decreasing. So you may be in luck as far as the government is concerned.
Some of the regulations really are right kind of regulations. So even if some matters get kind of slowed down, when you're after adding social impact to the society, you're going to keep the bars high. But yes, there are some regulations that frankly nobody knows why they are even in place. So yeah, we'll see what happens under new administration.
Let me tell you about another concern that I think is worth pondering. Limited generalization of the data. Population diversity is another hurdle that I think is worth considering. Much of the research that underpins personalized medicine is based on data from predominantly European or homogeneous populations. This can limit the applicability of treatments to diverse populations, as genetic variations in different ethnic or racial groups may not be fully understood. So you're targeting for the generalized data, which essentially excludes the populations which are on the edge. How do you plan to counter this?
With the means that we have, we always try to have very inclusive trials, inclusive data generation activities. I give you an example, like this 25,000 patient trial that I mentioned for our latest product, the cancer screening product for colon cancer screening. In fact, the patient population really mimicked the US patient population. For instance, non-white participant in that trial was much higher than even many of pharmaceutical trials which are happening for blockbuster drugs. But it was not easy. It was like we had to go to some rural areas. We needed to go to some community centers, to some church events to really be able to enroll the patients who are typically having less access to the classical health system. So it's possible. We've done it whenever we had the opportunity to do it. And again, it was kind of connected to the values that we have at Guardian to make sure people get equitable access to these innovative technologies. So we went that extra mile to make sure the data is really representative of the whole US patient population performance.
How about data complexity? How are you trying to conquer that? Are you using any AI or any type of the newer technologies that AI is conquering in your work?
Yeah, so for our cancer screening product, actually, our data analysis is based on AI algorithms, and we are looking at a bunch of epigenomics. It could get very easily confusing for people who are not expert in this field, but we generate deep data on the epigenomics part of human genome for detecting cancers at earlier stages. And then we have a bunch of AI algorithms that, based on the databases that we have correlated with different clinical conditions, can categorize, hey, do I think this patient has cancer or not? And if it has cancer, what kind of a cancer it has? So we are using it to some extent in our product. And then most recently, like many other companies, we are using AIs to improve productivity in our company. Like there are thousands and thousands of documentations that top-notch world-class scientists in our companies need to put in place, let's say just for interactions with regulatory bodies, FDA. So now a bunch of those documents are getting drafted by just LLM solutions. And then our top-notch PhDs just kind of edit those final documents. We are seeing about 30% productivity improvement in our R&D team as a result of some of these AI solutions.
Another problem which is related is while we made significant progress in understanding the human genome, much of the genetic data remains ambiguous or incomplete. Not all genetic variants are understood, and their clinical significance can vary. We had Mustafa Ronaghi here a few months ago, and we went through similar steps, and he was telling us that we don't know the majority data that lies in the genome of a person. And he was actually advising not to get your gene sequenced because we can't do much about it. So what do we do with this? On one hand, most of the genetic information that we extract with sequencing is unknown to us. On the other hand, we are using it for this critical and life-threatening cures. How do we square these two together?
So first of all, Mustafa is a great mentor for me and also a great friend. So I'm not going to debate anything with him. Many things I learned was through him in my early days at Stanford. So I do believe, genome and epigenome is almost like getting access to raw data. If you don't know what you need to do with raw data, it's very hard to understand anything out of it. And the problem we have in human genetic sciences is a bunch of these raw data is not understandable for us. That's right. But when we find some kind of signatures, then we can build an app on top of that raw data to make that data comprehensible to us for some specific application. Like the field of precision oncology and matching treatment to cancer patient based on the genomic of their tumor is well studied. We don't understand all 3 billion letters and how it's correlated to disease outcome, but we understand few of them, and we know if the patient has this specific genomic signature or the other one, this drug is going to work or that drug is not going to work. Or for the field of cancer screening, in your blood, you should not have much signatures associated with degradation of your colon tissue. You should not have it. Once we detect it, that's not a good sign. So although we don't understand letter by letter raw data, what we are dealing with at a signature level based on the databases that we have captured and correlation of those raw data with some clinical symptoms and clinical information, we are understanding signatures pretty well. So for those applications, I think we can really bring genomic and epigenomic into the real world clinical utility. And we are doing it for the field of oncology.
Thank you very much. We admire your perseverance and tenacity in following your goals. My last question is a personal one. How do you manage your life-work balance, having 3 small children and having to act as a father and as a scientist and as a guru and as a manager of your company, CEO of your company?
And frankly, I feel I'm blessed that I work for this kind of a company that's been highly impactful. I don't really consider myself as guru without putting like all the Persian like kind of ta'aruf as a side. But just to answer your question, what I learned by studying a bunch of successful people is the importance of the time management and smart time management. And making sure that actually you spend quality time and allocate your most important resource that you have in life, which is your time. You allocate it wisely. There is a saying that best CEO sometimes is the CEO who allocates resources properly. You're the CEO of your time. All of us are CEO of our time. Let's allocate it properly. I try to be very cautious about it. And yes, I have a busy life, small kids. Sometimes I don't spend a lot of time with them, but when I spend time with them, I try to spend good quality time with them. And then having a supportive wife always helps too.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I would like to open the floor for the question from the audience. We have time for a few questions. Raise your hand. Can we get a microphone to Farzin over here in the second row? Please state your name and your affiliation before you ask your question.
Hi, my name is Farzin Firuzmand. I'm with F Squared Consulting, which is my own company. My question is, with your latest product for cancer screening, is this going to cannibalize and obsolete colonoscopy?
No, no, frankly, like if anybody in this room or even to friends, even in the market, I say if you're okay to do colonoscopy and you have access to do colonoscopy, you should do that. That's the gold standard. But the reality is in US, about 50% of the people who need to do colonoscopy, they have other solutions like stool-based tests. After 20 years of having these standard of cares around, they are not doing their colon cancer screening. So this blood test would be a new choice in the menu that the physician and patient can talk about it. And if they think the risk benefit worth picking this test could be indicated for them. Our FDA label is very broad, like anybody can use it. It's not second line for like people who refuse to do colonoscopy. But again, just based on the focus that we have to do impactful work to society, we don't recommend it as a replacement for colonoscopy.
Next question comes from a gentleman over there.
Yeah, hi. It's Mesam Ghaffari and I am from MSK. So the question that I have is that we have so many different types of cancer and different types of people with different genomes. So the problem is that accessing the cancer data of the patient is very challenging and hard. And I wonder, what's the data set that you have that you were able to just match the genomes with the cancers? Because lots of them, even for the positive cases, we have cancer types that they are less than 0.001% of the patients. So I wonder, how did you deal with that? And how did you figure out the outcomes? Because you need several years to see that, okay, these patients are going to have positive response to specific treatments, right, and not the other ones. Thank you.
Right. So what you're saying is completely right, and that's why the tagline of our company is Conquer Cancer with Data. Cancer is a field which is data hungry, and before activating these blood tests or liquid biopsy tests to profile tumors through a simple blood test, all the data that we had in the field of oncology was dependent of getting access to tumor tissue, which is very limited, and that's why the field is data-starved. So now the amount of data that has been generated in the field of oncology has been vast. It's becoming broad and deep. And also when you correlate these genomic epigenomic data with the medical record of the patients, even the claim databases, you can have a very enriched clinical genomic data, clinical epigenomic data with a high quality that now the data talks to you in terms of revealing some clinical science and biological science. Bunch of progress that we made at Guardant of starting from advanced cancer, going to survivorship, and then going to cancer screening has been paved by what we learned through this data accumulation and listening to data, frankly. Good question.
And the last question goes to, we have two more questions then.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the talk. And this is Mona Haratianfar, a holistic nutritionist from Harmonize Her Company.
Please stand up so we can see you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Mona Haratianfar, holistic nutritionist from Harmonize Her Company. I want to know if your blood test is available for health practitioners to, order through Avexia or Rupa Health to be available to everyone. Or is it mostly like insurance-based, so it's not out-of-pocket available?
It's insurance-based and it's promoted through our direct sales channel. Right now, we have a nationwide, fully covered oncology channel. There are like 15,000 oncologists in US. 14,000 of them have access to our products. They're using it very frequently. On the primary care physician, we are just building that sales force step by step. So we are in the very early innings of it, but our commercial plan has been through direct promotion by having sales rep promoting the test to the primary care physician.
And the last question goes to Farzad.
Hi, I'm Farzad Mobin. Hi, how are you?
Very good.
Farzad, what's your affiliation?
affiliation with Plug and Play?
No, with your own affiliation. Where do you work? Or
Oh,
what do you do?
I run a company called Elastic Teams. We do AI recruiting. My question is, for a normal, healthy person, is it a good idea to take this test once in a while?
If you are not doing colonoscopy, which I recommend you do, yes, do this kind of blood test or stool test. Take care of your health by doing cancer screening as recommended by guidelines. The most impactful fight we can have toward cancer is by detecting it early. We don't have very good solutions today for cancer screening. There are 100+ cancer types. For 5 of them, we have screening technologies. Out of 5, the best is for colon cancer, colon cancer and breast cancer. And for colon cancer, half of people don't do it. Even for breast cancer, about a third of people don't do it. So we are hoping that we can have some simple blood tests to contribute heavily, but take your cancer screening journey seriously. It's a lifetime commitment. It's not just one time. It's annual or every 3 years. Some kind of testing needs to be done.
Well, Dr. Amir Ali Talassaz, on behalf of Plug and Play, the Persian Tech Network, the Amidi Group, and the Iranian community, I would like to thank you for taking the time to talk to us and informing us about your wonderful work. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day and evening. Take care.
Next, I would like to invite Anahita Moro to come over here and continue our fireside chat in the second part. Oh, thank you. Anahita, thank you very much for taking the time to be here tonight. I would like to start with your background. Again, you were born and raised in Iran, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about where did you go to school, where did you go to college, and all that.
Sure. I graduated from Khaja Nasir, electrical engineering, control systems, and when I graduated, I worked a little bit for a year or so in Agip, which is an Italian oil and gas company, and then I came to U.S. for my master's. I went to UC Irvine.
And when did you find out that you're an electrical engineer, or you want to be one?
I'm not sure I quite figured it out. I think I always joke that I graduated with a degree in electrical and like philosophy and art. So I had other passions and things that I was excited about, but I tried to bring them all together somehow.
So you quit the other passions, or you short-circuited it?
So it was interesting. So when I was studying for my undergrad, I established a nonprofit focusing on women empowerment, and I was on the board of directors, and we were focusing on a lot of other things that I was really passionate about, and that kind of continued in my journey of life, and so I tried to kind of find opportunities that I would incorporate some of those passions in trying to make the world a better place and hopefully leave it a little bit better place than I came to.
Very noble. You've been at Google for about 7 years, and you're in charge of the infrastructure at Google, which is a very concise set of words. You're in charge of infrastructure. But knowing Google and knowing what is in store in the future as far as the AI support for Google is concerned, it's a huge deal. And did you know 7 years ago when you went into that group that you're going to be responsible for managing the server farms that is going to power the intelligence of the world, or AI of the world?
So I give you a little bit of a history of how I fell kind of into technical infrastructure. I switched like 3 different industries. I went from consumer product to all mission critical manufacturing. So I started with high reliability surface mount capacitors for medical applications, and then I went to aerospace and defense, and I was on my way to UT, which is United Technologies, a very large aerospace company. I was supposed to go work on the Airbus line and help them optimize their process. And then Google called, and I'm like, why? I'm not a software, or why me? And they were specifically looking for someone with background in mission critical experience to help them be more resilient, build their reliability and quality function. So they brought me on board to help them kind of build a framework for the future of what they were building. And it was really by accident that I fell into technical infrastructure. I had no idea what it was. But it kind of made sense. Like, it's similar to everything else I've been doing. If something catches fire or falls down or breaks down, something bad will happen. So that was kind of like, okay, it makes sense. Let's see what we can do about it.
So the act was created for you, in a sense. Your talent was asking for this huge deal that you're looking at. Tell us a little bit about the future of all the server farms that Google needs to put in place in order to serve the AI power that needs to have. Give us a sense of the numbers that we are talking about. And we're going to go over the problems like power and capacity.
Sure. Yeah, so it's been interesting. So Google, like the other hyperscalers, we chatted about in some of the other panels in Plug and Play. You may think that Google is an AI company, software company, but Google Data Center is really a multi-billion-dollar construction company. We bring in teams, thousands of teams that we bring in the network from under the ocean to build all of these massive infrastructure to serve capacity. So we're really in the business of enabling AI, enabling cloud, enabling all the services. So for a long period of time, Google has been its own product area. So we were serving Google and Gmail and like all of the different PAs. And at some point, Google realized, oh, we got to bridge the gap with cloud. So they really started ramping up on cloud serving capacity. So, and that wasn't really that far ago. So we realized that it was a very different model for building capacity. So we started really decentralizing across the whole world. So because cloud customers are smaller and you're new to the game, you're trying to capture market share, it is not that you have a very good prediction where you will be. So we had to have really good analytical model to predict for our own growth, but then cloud was very uncertain. Where will we be? Every deal could potentially say, oh, now you got to be in Germany, now you got to be in a different place. So it was a very different model of building data centers, and data centers take typically 2 years to build. They're not like your software applications that they are quick. They will take years to build. It will take decades for our energy and land acquisition team to buy land. So we buy 10 years ahead of time, 20 years ahead of time. So all of that planning, and then imagine when about 18 months ago, 12 months ago, we were all very surprised across the industry of the demand of AI. And I don't think anybody predicted how fast it will ramp up. So I think everybody got caught by surprise. So we are all in the bridging the gap for capacity shortage.
You're
so
still in shock, I guess.
We're beyond the shock. We are in the mode of just let's build as fast as we can.
Give us an indication of the numbers. How big is the tsunami? What numbers were we looking at, and what did you modify them to?
I can't share specific numbers of how many gigawatt, of course. But let's say whatever was our portfolio.
We won't tell them.
Whatever was the size of our portfolio within the past 15 years, we are making it many times more within the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So one of the problems that comes along with it, with the territory, is the power. We don't have the grid. The grid is maxed out. And also we are modifying the grid in order to take care of another problem, which is global warming. We're going into wind and solar, and the grid is not going to be happy with that either. Now, there comes a company that wants to give everyone in the world instant access to to Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever the equivalent of it all the time. And that requires a lot of power. Is that your biggest headache?
Not mine, thankfully. I'm responsible for making sure things work, and they are reliable, predictable, efficient, so safe.
But you have to build the structure to
We got to build
fit
it
that,
first,
yeah.
right? So, yes, power, I think, is top of mind. Every conference you go in data center, everybody's talking about power. And I think the most challenging is that immediate power, because there will be like 2035 plus, like within the next 10 years, I think there are technologies that are on the roadmap that will hopefully bridge the gap. You know, the SMRs have been talked quite a bit about. They're hydrogen. There are a lot of technologies.
SMRs are small modular reactors.
Small modular reactors. So nuclear is now a very popular topic in the industry, but they will have a large ramp-up period. There's nothing available within the next 5 years. So how do we bridge the gap? I think there are a lot of off-the-grid technologies. They're thinking of hydrogen. They're thinking about like coming down to diesel. You will see a ramp-up of burning diesel, and that is what we are trying to mitigate. So really, Google is going on a lot of power purchase agreements with different clean energy, solar, wind. Geothermal is now a big technology that we are expanding, and then trying to bridge the gap with whatever is available, backup sources of power.
So there was an announcement with Kairos about a month ago. That's the nuclear power company that is promising to give you the power that you need, or at least a big portion of it. But it's not going to be useful, or it's not going to come online until 2035.
That's majority of. There are multiple players in the field, and 2035 is the earliest.
So we're going to be on pause for 10 years for this AI that everybody is excited about?
Now, as I said, like we are really ramping up on a lot of whatever is available. So off the grid, so generation, on-site generation type of powers, and then helping also with the geothermals, solar, to give back to the grid. So Google's policies usually is to pull from the grid rather than generating on their own.
On the bright side, you will have a lot of people who can help you, all these engineers who will no longer have anything to do because the AI will take their jobs, right?
No, I don't think that will be. I'm sure there will be other ways of building and being more productive. But
we'll hold you responsible for it. If Google goes through layout, we say we told us otherwise. Let's talk about your life and work balance, your personal achievements. I know you have 2 small kids. You're a mom as well as a very responsible person for doing this job at Google, which is essentially 24/7, the way I understand it. How do you manage it? What is your secret?
Work-life juggle, I think is a good term. Amir Ali was mentioning time management. I really think part of it is also delegating the things you really don't enjoy doing, or finding resources to help kind of bridge the gap. Google, I think particularly, is a company that prioritizes that. So mental health and work-life balance is something that is generally accepted. So we have more support maybe than some of the other places, and a very supportive husband that can take on the load if I'm traveling or if I need to be somewhere. So we kind of divided between us and figure it out. And my mom.
And your mom.
Yes.
Kudos to your mom who is helping you, raising the kids and everything. Let's go back a little bit about your work experience for years beyond Google, maybe 10, 15 years ago. You learned a lot in a lot of different companies, in heterogeneous industries that you worked. Most of these companies, if not all of them, you had to work in an environment which is dominated by males. And obviously, you're very successful. You're very well respected, and you've survived, actually. What is your secret on that? What are the things that you can teach people in the audience, women and men, about making half of the population more successful in the environment which otherwise is not conducive to that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think in general, yes, one of the experiences that I had, especially the higher you go in the management and certain industries, I think particularly for me the most challenging was the aerospace and defense industry and the type of clients that you're dealing with. Not only it wasn't easy to be a woman, it wasn't also easy to be Persian. It was just not welcomed in general. And I had a, particularly when I had my first son, I was, the head of corporate was really one watching me to go for an executive position. Actually, they brought me back during maternity and like, go for interview. But then the common kind of reaction was, well, are you sure you want to prioritize that? Like kind of the organization made the decision for me that, oh, well, your prioritization should be taking care of your family right now. And it was very hurtful experience. And one of the main reasons I think I had an easier time to just move to a different industry and move to tech. I'm not saying that necessarily tech is better, but one thing I learned, and it became part of our leadership training and the language that I've realized how important it is allyship. I think a lot of you guys have your companies, you're leading different teams, you're large or small, but really on being sensitive and cognizant that the needs of you have a very diverse team. Hopefully you intentionally try to create a diverse team, but understanding the needs are different. And incorporate that in the way that you're making decision, I think is very key. For me, finding allies at work with my male colleagues and also creating a safe environment within my team so they can bring their problems to me and I can also help them has been very important. But I think being conscious about it and being intentional about it is really important, and understanding at the end of the day, if you're a corporation, if you're a small company, diversity, there are a lot of studies from Harvard Business Review that it does fit your bottom line. It translates to profit. So it's not like this generous kind of act that selfish that you may not see the return. Even if you're looking at it from the business perspective, you will see the return. So being intentional about it is important. I just recently joined a board of advisory as a nonprofit. It's a Nomad Futurist focused on demystifying technical infrastructure for a lot of underserved communities and really trying to bridge the human capital gap. And a part of our focus is really that diversity, because we are seeing the gap is unfortunately continuing to grow within the tech sector as well. So that's a topic very close to heart for me, and I'm trying to do whatever small thing that I can.
Another related question is, have you found any aspect of being a woman is helpful? We talked about the limitations, the limiting factors, and helpful in succeeding in an organization or a technical organization such as. And by that, I mean, is there any skill that women are particularly adept at that they can nurture on in order to make themselves and others in their team succeed?
I think in general, women have a tendency to have less ego. And I think that has become helpful asset as a leader, as a manager, to kind of empower and help the team. So I think in general, women have a better productivity within the team. They enable, they help the team grow faster. Not necessarily, I don't want to generalize across the board. I'm sure there has been a lot of negative experiences of women not supporting each other, so a lot of that. But I think being more collaborative and being able to share the success across the board and give credit for something, that has been a common trend.
Being a fair player, yes. Another topic that is part of, is weaved into your job as a person who manages the infrastructure at Google, is reliability and resilience. Both are very important aspects of what you do. You know, you have to have power 24/7. Everything has to be reliable. Nothing has to break. At the same time, that's part of your DNA as well, as a person who succeeds in this environment. What advice do you have for people in the audience, men and women, to increase this aspect of their personhood that can help them become very successful?
I think as engineers that is trained in system thinking, I do, one of the things that I'm very good at it is failure mode effect analysis. My brain immediately goes on how this thing can fail. And then from the positive part of it, like how can I help it be more resilient? So I immediately think of ways that I can prevent it, mitigate it, have better controls. And I do that with my kids, you know, kind of participating what can go wrong if my kids is running through the window like that fast, you know.
Yeah, plan B, C, D.
Plan B, C, D, as well as at work. So I think part of that is kind of anticipation. That resiliency is kind of thinking, how can I make this system more robust, that it will be better in the future, and that continuously kind of that closed loop feedback that you keep improving it and trying to slowly. I don't know if I answered your question, but.
Well, kind of, but you haven't told us how do you do it? Do you have an example, for example, of this plan B, plan C that you consider with your kids?
Oh. I'm not sure I have success with the number of bruises on their bodies. I have 2 boys, and I think that kind of explains it.
How old are they?
5 and 9.
Very nice.
I think a good part of it is really you get that brain muscle of anticipating what is going to happen.
What can go wrong?
What can go wrong, and then you kind of plan for that.
But you're not a warrior. You're an optimistic person. You think there is a solution, or are you a warrior?
We'll figure it out when it breaks. If it breaks, we'll fix it. Yeah, I mean, it's that part of my daily life of things catching fire and things going wrong. So
And what's your biggest advice for people in the audience to become more resilient?
I think it's a resiliency as a mental state of mind. I just listened to a part from, I don't know if you guys listen to School of Life. Alan de Botton is a very popular, easy to follow kind of writer.
Person.
And one of the things that really resonated with me is that I'm trying to, it goes back to mental health, and I know it's not really resiliency in that perspective, but I'm realizing a big part of me being able in a state of mind that I can help others and I can be really in a problem solving rather than the panic mode, rather than I can take care of it, is to build that resiliency from the state of tying my happiness to what I can control. Mm-hmm. So I have a better understanding what is really within my control, and the things that are not within my control, I can let go. So if I'm really optimizing my energy on the things that I can influence, and the things that are not, either I let go or I kind of delegate
or
others.
accept it.
Or just accept it, yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much. I would like to open the floor for the questions from the audience. We have time for a few. If you don't have a question, I have one. Do your boys, do your kids know what you do at work?
They know I bring free food and free snacks from work.
But do they have any idea? I'm sure your 9-year-old goes online and has some contact with Google. Do they know that you are on the...
He thinks I run internet, so he's very happy about it, that I'm hosting internet.
And what is your plan for your kids to get exposed to the internet and go online? What is your policy for that? And after that, we have a gentleman over there. Amir Ali, we have a gentleman over there who will ask the next question after Anahita answers this question. What is your policy for your kids to go online?
So far, I have limited them to access anything online, so no access.
Define limited. No access. Okay,
no access,
absolutely.
Yeah,
over there, that gentleman over Please state your name and your affiliation before you ask your question.
Hi, my name is Bardia. I go to UC. I'm a CS student at UC Berkeley. I just wanted to ask. So you said you had 2 boys.
I do.
Younger. Okay, cool. Would you be okay if they like wanted to go into like computer science or software engineering? Like, would you support that as like their thing for career and studies? Thank you.
I think that's the biggest question for a lot of parents. What will happen within the next 10 years? I have little ones, so I don't know what really with this rate of change, what capabilities they would be needing, what skills they would be needing. I think critical thinking is what I'm really focusing on at this point, and raising healthy human beings. My kids are small. If you ask me right now, obviously, I think that's a great field to be, but if you're asking within the next 10 years what the skills would really be relevant, I don't think we know.
We don't know.
I don't think anybody knows.
We don't know beyond like 5, 10 years. And the last question probably from the lady over here. If you want to ask a question, raise your hand so we know. Okay, there would be another one. That would be the last one. Okay.
Jenny Yu from Himalaya Quantitative Solutions. We build an AI safety tool. My question is, you talk about the resilience a lot. Do you think that's something you're born with it, or it can be nurtured, or both?
I don't know how the whole topic got to resiliency.
Well, it's part of the infrastructure.
It is part of it. I
yes.
can answer it from the infrastructure part. I'm not sure I'm a very resilient human being. Yeah, I'm not sure I have the best answer from the personal resilience part of it. But I think as a Persian network, and immigrants, we have been challenged over and over and kind of build that muscle, because every step has been a challenge and every step was a survival. So we have really built survival mechanisms. I'm not sure it's healthy, but it's kind of just being here require that.
Last question goes to the gentleman over there.
Hey, my name is Abbas. I work at Meta. So I used to work at AWS, and I think in just cloud industry in general, the competition is very tough. So as a result, people want to put out features as fast as they can, and that results in like really bad on-calls. So my question is, how do you push back on engineering leaders, or let's say people who are in charge of a business that want to drive revenue, to push back on that, and so you can build more resilient systems and over a longer period of time?
Yeah, that's really top of mind for me on a daily basis. Really, how to balance innovation and scaling up efficiently. Again, it's not an easy solution. You want to be innovative. You want to push out product as fast as you can, because technically every day you're late, you're losing billions of dollars of revenue. But on the other hand, I think there are certain pillars we will not sacrifice. Safety, we have one of the highest safety rates in construction. We want to make sure if someone comes to our sites, goes back home, so that is not compromisable. I think everything else you can agree on, like, okay, how many 5.9s you want to agree on, what's your availability levels, what's your SLOs. I think everything else, depending on the need of the customer, you can agree on those SLOs and optimize to that. But if you're able to quantify that, and it's a big part of what I do, is that I give the leadership the option. Like, if you want this SLO and this many 5.9s or this many 4.9s, or this is the cost associated with it. This will cost you this many millions. Make that decision. What is the speed to market, right? So if you are able to quantify that and give the leadership the options, that becomes a choice point of, and those choice points you can optimize based on your business drivers. I don't think there's any exception between Meta and Google on all of that. But I agree, the rate of pushing things out has pushed everyone to being more lenient on some of the SLOs, and I think that's okay as long as the end user is okay with it.
Thank you very much. Well, on behalf of Plug and Play, Persian Tech Network, the Amidi Group, and the Iranian community, I would like to thank you for taking the time and answering our questions and illuminating us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
you can network now and talk to strangers and tell them about your projects and ask them about their projects. Please go ahead and do that. Thank you. Thank you.
You're pressing me on resilience. I'm not a very resilient person.
You are. You're in that business.